I'm Carolyn Thompson. Welcome to Carolyn's Art. I'll be doing a completed painting for you tonight using the wet-on-wet technique of oil painting. And tonight I'm going to demonstrate for you a Robert Warren composition. It's called Bayou Morning. It's really soft pastel colors with a lot of tints and a lot of shading. I think you're going to really like it. Let me tell you what I've done so far. I have a 16 by 20 canvas. I've applied magic white to this canvas, but before I applied the magic white, I had a sketch of a little rowboat. I put the sketch on with graphite paper. Then I drew another sketch of the rowboat with clear adhesive plastic and put that over my drawing. This way I can put my magic white on and not have to worry about the boat until I'm ready to paint it, which makes it really, really nice for you. You don't even have to be concerned about that until it's time to paint it. Let me show you the paints that I'll be using tonight real quickly. I've mixed a number of paints already to save some time. The first color I'm going to start out with will be peach. This is deep orange and white. This is just another value of the same color. I have a mauve color, which was made with rose, burnt sienna, and white. I have a purple, which was, let me tell you what the blue is first, because this deep purple is half and half of this blue and half of the rose. This blue is made of phthalo blue, a touch of rose, and white. Then I have, of course, half and half to get this color. This is titanium white, hard and soft, burnt umber, burnt sienna, the peach again. This gray was made of black, white, and burnt umber. This is also a dark value of gray. It just has less white, more burnt umber, and more black. Then touches of the other colors. The only other two colors are the values of green. This very dark value of green that I have here is equal parts sap green and burnt umber. The lighter value of green that I have was sap green, white, and I believe a touch of phthalo blue in it. The lightest value of green that I have, the mint green, is simply sap green and white. And then I have a little bit of the peach mixed with just a touch of cad yellow and white to do water lines and some highlights with. So we're about ready to go. All right. I'm going to begin this painting with a 2.5-inch brush. I'm going to use the same one I put the magic white on with. It'll be just fine. I'm going to go into my peach, load it on both sides. I have quite a bit of paint on both sides of my brush, and I'm going to make a vertical line, a stripe of peach. You might want to bring this peach all the way down to the top of your boat. That'll be just fine. Probably cover this part later, but that's all right. Want to make sure you get some in. I'm going to extend and stretch this line over. This little stripe that I'm making. I'm going to add a little bit deeper value right here of the peach. I really want that one particular area to really show, right in this area. Okay, with the same brush, I'm not going to clean it. I will wipe as much of the paint out as I can get out on a paper towel, but there's no need for you to clean it at this point. I'm going to go into the mauve mixture I told you about, which was rose, titanium white, and burnt sienna. And on either side of this peach stripe, I'm going to put a vertical stripe of this mauve and work it into the peach. You don't want a definite line here where this darker color meets the peach. Just work it in till it's nice and soft. A little bit more. This will be a very soft, very pastel painting. I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. Still using my 2.5-inch blender. Quite a bit of pressure here. I'm blending this one color into the other, and I want it to mix. The magic white underneath is going to allow it all to give me the soft values I want, that I'm looking for. Add a little more pigment over here. Stretch it out. Stretching, stretching, stretching. Then blend this area. I have a little bit of a stripe right here, so I'm not too concerned about it. I have other things to go on, but I'm going to blend out as much as I can. Bringing it over into the peach. Now I'm going to go back and strengthen this one area right here with a little peach real quick. Want one really bright spot right there. All right. Okay, again, I'm not going to clean my brush. I'm simply going to wipe as much paint out as I can on a paper towel. I believe you'll like this painting because you won't have to clean all your brushes so much. Okay, the next value I'm going to go into is the dark purple, which was half and half the mauve and half the light blue that I showed you. Filling just the end of my brush, and I'm going to start on the right-hand side, making very loose strokes. Put some of this darker value. Even going over into the peach just a little. There's not much of this at this point, so don't overdo it. Get rid of that hair. And that one. Put a little bit of the same color over here. This is the darker purple value. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit up in here, but I'm not trying to cover all the pretty mauve that I have on there. But I do want to add some of this value. At this point, it's very, very light. Same brush, I'm not going to clean it. I'm going to wipe the paint off a little. I'm going to go into the light blue mixture that I showed you, which was phthalo blue, white, and a touch of mauve. Not much paint on your brush at this time. These are going to be reflected lights in the shadows back here. Work it in. It's going to primarily be down low. Our light source in this painting will be from the right. Down in the shadows, now don't overdo this. I just want a little hint, a little tint of this blue, a little shading right here. And that's probably enough right there. Okay, I'm going to put my large 2.5-inch blender down. I'm going to reach for a 1-inch blending brush, or foliage brush. This one's sturdy. Let me see if I can find another one. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to go back into the darker purple value that I used in the trees, this time a little more paint. Let me show you how I'm going to load this brush now. So that you know, if you'll drag your brush through, like so, and then tap it on your palette, it will open the bristles on your brush so that you'll get a nice foliage stroke when you go up here. I want the indication of some little bushes and trees back here. In my mind, I need to decide where my bank's going to be, and I think I never want it centered on the canvas. It either needs to be lower or higher than the center, so I need to have it about right there. So I'm just going to tap in the indication of a few little bushes and shrubbery, and I'm going to let it just die off over here in the dark. Just let it go. It'll get lighter, 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 and just disappear. I'm going to reload, come up here and shape my bush. Putting some dark value in here. This is the same dark purple that I used on the sides. Now it's nice when you have a little bit of the sky showing through, just a little bit of peach. I would like a little bit more value right in here. I have some nice highlights to go on this later, so I want to be sure I get... There we go. Now at this point I'm going to put my 1-inch foliage brush down and go to a fan brush, load with the same mixture, and just define the very edges of my little trees. The 1-inch brush put it in, masked my color in, and now I'm going to define a few little bushes or leaves. A little more detail right in there. And again, these just die off. At the same time that you put your bushes in, you can go ahead and drag a little of this color down. This is going to be water, and we'll have a reflection in here. I won't put the bank in until later, but you can go ahead and start putting the reflections from your shrubbery in at this point. Put this brush down, and I'll get a bunny brush, which is a long hockey brush. Real soft, soft hair on it, and blend in your water. Looks a little harsh right there, so I'm just going to blend it out. I want a shadow, but I want it to be very, very soft. A reflection, but I want it to be soft. All right, I'm going to leave the sky, the background foliage alone for the moment, and skip down to the bank. Now, I put magic white on this canvas before we started, but if you find that if you'll test and make certain you don't have too much magic white below the boat where we're going to put the landmass in, it'll be really good. If you have too much, wipe it off. We're going to put a very dark value in, which is burnt umber. And if you have too much magic white, it will dilute your color too much. So if you find you have a little bit too much, just go in there and wipe some of your magic white off. This is straight burnt umber and a bristle brush. I'm going to decide where I want my little bank to be. The boat eventually will be pulled up onto the bank. I know that I don't want it to go any higher than midway through that boat. I want it to end about here. So that gives me a guideline. That's all you need at the top. Then we're going to start by putting a dark band of color here at the bottom. This is straight burnt umber and a bristle brush. Just lay your color in, and then you can start scrubbing it in, bringing it up, and look at the change in value here. See how dark? It's going to go from dark to medium to light automatically because of the magic white underneath, and I'm just scrubbing in this color, stretching it up, letting it change value. Now, you don't have to worry about your boat, of course. You can paint right through it. That's the nice thing about having these little cutoffs on. I'm going to stretch while I don't have much paint on. On my brush, I'm going to stretch up here and get the edge of my bank. The edge of your bank does not have to be absolutely smooth. We're going to have a lot of grass and other things in here, so it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. Watch the angle of your land. Constantly changing values. A little bit of that mauve and the blue mixed in, and that's really nice. Okay, while I have this brush, I'm going to wipe the dark burnt umber out, go into straight burnt sienna. This is right out of the tube, and warm this area up. I'm going to put it right through here and just scrub it in. Lay it on and then just scrub it in. Planting a big, large live oak tree over here, so I'm not too concerned about this area. It's going to stay rather dark, but there's a nice sunny area right through here. And just move it around, changing the value and warming it up just a little bit. Makes it look like a rust color. Okay, I'm going to put this bristle brush down. I'm going to change brushes and go to a flat badger brush. And I'm going to go back to the peach that I put in the sky. Loaded on both sides. I want to show you how I'm loading this brush too. This is a little different this time than the way I usually I load this brush to a chisel edge by pushing on both sides and pressing down. This time I'm going to scoot a little bead of paint up on the end of my brush. I'm going to come right on the edge of the bank right here, start laying it on. Little highlight right along the edge. Scoot up a little more paint. I'm going to come in here and make a little mark. This may turn out to be, could be clay, could be whatever. It's going to give us a few different values in this dark color that we have on, and it'll turn out looking really, really nice. And then if you'll underblend meaning don't touch the top portion you just painted, but blend just a little the bottom of the little line you just painted. Okay. Maybe a touch more right here. You don't have to spend a lot of time with this. It's just the indication. We're just warming this bank up a little bit. I just want different values in here. I'm not going to worry about making it perfect or blending it all out. We'll take care of that when we put the grass in and all of the other things automatically. Okay, I'm going to put this brush down, and before I do anything else on the bank, I'm going to go back to this one very, very bright area right here with a clean 1-inch brush and titanium white soft. I moved some of my white onto a clear place on my palette so that I could show you how to load this brush. I'm going to drag my brush through and load about halfway up. Now, there are a couple of ways you can do this. You could put sunbeams in here, which is I'm going to show you how to do that first, and then if you want, you may blend it into the peach, which I may also do. Depends on the mood I'm in and what I want when I'm doing the painting at the time. But if you want to put sunbeams in, you can lay your brush flat as parallel to the canvas as possible, as flush to it as possible. Choose a spot where you want your light and pull. Pulling. Like so, and then blend the back of it. I just want a light area. I really want to pop this one area out right in here. So I'm going to just move it around. If you like the sunbeams, you can leave them the way it was. And then you can take a bunny brush, clean and dry, and softly blend. Get rid of any harsh lines. And if you disturb something like the very top of this little tree, you can always go back. This is the same brush that I had the mixture in when I did the trees, the background trees the first time. Just tap it back in. And remember to just let it fade off over here. I'm not going to put the shoreline in yet. I'm not going to highlight the background trees yet. I'm going to work on the foreground before I do that, and then I'll go back later. The next thing I want to work on is a little bit of the grass. I'm going to use a fan brush. This is a medium fan brush. I'm going to go into the gray mixture I told you about, which was burnt umber, titanium white, and black. I'm going to load it on both sides and start building some grass back here. Now, of course, we're doing this painting from as far back as possible forward. So in order to do the grass, which will of course get darker as we come forward, I need to put some lighter values in first. You might want to watch this stroke that I'm going to use. I'm holding my brush vertical. I've loaded it on both sides, and you use a zigzag, like sawing motion. This is savanna grass. Long blades of grass that grow in the south. Now, make certain when you start putting this grass in, and it won't look like grass yet, we're just putting the base for the grass in. Make certain you don't have all of your grass the same level. Have some of it high, some of it low. Skip around. And watch the angle on your heel here. Coming down, you want to lose your entire reflection there. And a little bit back here. We'll have the grass over here a little bit longer. And that's all you need to do for this particular stage. We're just putting in a background for the grass. Okay, before I put in the grass coming forward, of course, I have to paint my tree. Then I'm going to paint the boat because the grass in front is over the boat, so it makes sense that I would do the boat first. Let's go to the tree, the large tree over here, and start basing in the trunk on it. This is a live oak tree. It has a huge, huge trunk. It's gnarled and twisted, has a lot of character in it, so you can have a lot of fun painting this. I'm going to start by going to the lighter gray that I had mixed, and I know I want a nice limb coming out all the way across the canvas. You might notice if you looked at the original painting that I did that painting in a portrait position, in a vertical. I'm doing this one in a landscape position, horizontal, so you choose whichever you want to do it. You can do it either way. This one gives you a little more space. If you have it your canvas horizontal, Gives you a little more space to work with the tree and the land and the boat. I like it that way too, so it's your option and you do it the way you want. I'm going to mark where I want my tree to be. I probably want it about that big. At the top, I want it. These are just little marks just for me. And I'll probably want to come down to about here with the gray before I start the dark. So now I can start. Before I do the trunk, I'm going to do one of the branches. I'm going to start with my flat badger brush and just start pulling in a big, big limb. Okay, go over it, make it thicker. Remember, it's gnarled and twisted, has elbows on it. So you can really have a good time with this, painting this tree. Okay, this is the light value of gray. At this point I can go ahead and put in a little bit of the trunk, deliberately making it knotted and gnarled. Same color, same brush. All your trees don't have to look like telephone poles, and especially live oak trees. They have a lot of character. So don't be afraid to put a lot of lumps and bumps in them. Just filling in some of the gray. Looks a little strange right now. I don't have the bottom to my tree yet. Looks as if it's floating in the air. But I want to get my lighter value in before I start working on the dark. To give this tree a little bit of dimension, we're going to have a lot of values in it. The background limb and trunk are going to be very light. And then the ones coming forward will be much, much darker. I'm just reloading my brush with this same light gray mixture when you can't see what's going on. Going to have one, let's have one coming up here. Anything you don't like, you can go back over it and change it. I'd like a little bit more of a lump or a bump right here. Now I'm bringing this light gray down about halfway through the canvas. In case you're wondering how far to bring this lighter value down. It's almost just about halfway. I'm going to go back here and put a little branch that's maybe behind the trunk, stretched out the other way. Put a couple of little limbs. I'm using the top corner of my brush to put in a couple of little limbs, twigs coming off that main limb. I'll probably want a limb coming down this way. Could even have one crossed over. And I may even want a good place to put all of your limbs and twigs off of branches are where the little elbows and nooks and crannies are. Here's a little area. Maybe I could put one in there. And still, I'm not using the liner brush, nothing other than this 1 inch or this flat brush. If you find that you're not having a lot of luck with it, change to your liner brush, but don't forget to put a lot of lumps in these trees. They're real bumpy and gnarly. Let's put a little branch maybe coming off this one. You never know. Most of this is going to be covered probably, but I'm going to put it in. Oh, that's a nice lump. I like that. Okay, let me step back and see. I need another branch. like another branch coming off this one. Here's a little elbow, so I can go there. Like I said, most of these at the top probably will not show, but I'm going to put them in. Okay, I'm going to start right here with a, before I do that though, I'm going to strengthen the gray right here on this. Make it a little bit darker here. Bring it down. And oh, and I want to bring this one limb over just a little into the tree so that it appears as if it's in front of the tree. I'm going to change to a darker value. At this point, go to the same brush. I can wipe out the paint that's in it. No need to wash it. We're just going to use the same value, only darker. This is the very, very dark value I had. I'm going to put a large limb right over these. Bring it right over and into this tree. Right in front of the other one. You can play with these limbs and play with these trees until you can't believe what happens. You can get so many different effects. And even on the trunk on the bottom, don't forget to make lots of lumps and bumps. This portion of the tree is going to be very dark. I need to decide exactly where I want the trunk to come out. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in real quick. If you'll twist your brush and turn it, you can make I couldn't think of the word, a root coming out into the dirt. Looks a lot more attractive than just having your tree in and then putting grass up around it or whatever. We're going to put grass up around it. I lost my microphone. Some of this tree root will show, so you may want to try putting them in like that. Just going back for more dark paint. Like I said, the bottom of this tree is quite dark. I have another branch. It's very dark. That's going to come up from here. Going to come into this tree. My dark paint is on the far side of my palette. I'm having to really reach over there. This one is quite dark. Right over these lighter ones. I'm twisting and jiggling my brush to give a little bit of dimension and character to these branches. All right. Now let me step back and take a look at it. You always need to step back periodically during a painting to check out the entire thing, how it's coming. Okay, I'd like another branch, a little darker branch coming right here. I want to sneak some of this dark gray value up this side of this tree. First I want to fill in this very dark. Look at the dimension you start getting on this tree though when you have the lighter side on the other side. We're going to work all this in together in just a few minutes. I'm going to sneak a little bit of the dark to the left-hand side of this tree. A little bit on the left-hand side of this branch. And I'm checking in my own mind to see where I think some of this dark value would be. And, okay, I'm going to leave that for right now. I'm going to wash this brush and go ahead and highlight this tree trunk for you before I do the rest of the foliage on the tree and the grass and all the other things. I'm going to use the same exact brush, and I'm going to go into peach. First, before I go into peach, though, I want to add just a touch of burnt umber just to warm this area of the trunk up, and I'm just going to pat it on and work it in. These trees are very gnarled, so I don't mind a little texture showing there. Not much, it doesn't take much. Just wanted to warm that one little area up. Okay, now I'm going to wash my brush again. So far we have 3 different values on this tree. The light gray, the dark gray, and of course the burnt sienna. Now I'm going to add peach as a highlight. I'm loading my brush to a chisel edge on both sides. I want to come right up here to the side of this tree, touch on the edge, and I'm just going to touch and sweep. Touch and sweep. Just like so. You don't have to worry about going too far down on the root because most of the light's going to be hitting in this area. Going to touch and sweep. Now I'm going to skip over just a little bit, touch and sweep. Put a little bit of a highlight right there. If it's a little too straight for you, change it. I wanted it a little bit lighter. Go back and do the one on the edge, get it a little bit lighter. I want to come up here on the edge of this one. A little bit of light would probably hit right here. And we'll probably have a little light up here. Now these on top you don't have to worry about too much. They're going to be covered by foliage and other things. And let's put a little bit of a highlight on this light gray one. And on the edge right here. You can work this color around until you get it exactly the way you want it. I want a little bit more on the second row right here. And it's a little too straight for my taste, so I wanted to come back and there we go. Put a little lump and gnarl in it. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush. Remember the light blue color that we used for reflective light in our trees that shows up right here? I'm going to take some of that same color. Usually in a painting, well, usually in any painting you do, if you have a highlight, you're going to have a reflective light somewhere. Not always, but usually. I'm going to start right back here on the back of this tree. Same stroke. Now that looks very bright. I'm going to work it in. Put a little reflected light right back here in the back. Don't want to lose all of it. I almost lost all of it right then, working it out. Going to skip. I would like a little up here on this trunk or that branch. And it even like just a touch of it right there, even though it probably won't show. Add a little more of the blue, and right here on the back of this limb that's coming down, I'd like to add a little blue right there. Okay, I'm going to leave the tree trunk for right now. Before I do the grass in the foreground, I'm going to go back and before I put the foliage on the trees, I'm going to go back and highlight the background trees with the fan brush. Let me see if I have a clean one. Yeah, I think I can clean this one out real quick. The highlight on this on these background trees is the mint green that I showed you earlier. Now, I don't know if you remember before, I've used this stroke before and shown you how to load this brush before. I'm pushing straight in to open the bristles on my brush. So I take my paint, find a clean place on my palette, and then really hit it to open the bristles. And I'm going to bring it up here, decide where I want a little bit of highlight on my bushes, and start tapping. This will not be everywhere. And it's just a little accent, so don't go real heavy on it. Try to keep in mind where your branches on your trees are, or your bushes, or whatever as you're doing this. Put a little right here, and we'll even sneak in a little bit right there. Now that's not much, but that's all you want. It's going to get darker, darker, darker. Maybe just a fraction right there. And right there. Okay, I'm going to wash this same brush. Go to a lighter value, which was peach, cad yellow, and white. Load my brush the same way. I'm going to put a little bit of sunshine. Needs to be opened up just a little bit more. You need to really press and push and spread those bristles on your fan brush to get this effect. I'm going to decide where, right on the edges. Ooh, look at that sunshine pop out. Now, you don't want much. Again, these trees are so far away. Just a touch of a little bit of light reflecting in the back here. You can wipe some of that paint off and then hit. Now, if something like this happens and you have too much dark, go back to your dark value, the purple, and cover it back up. No problem. Okay, right, real quickly, I'm going to put in a water line for you. And I'm going to do that with the same value that I highlighted the trees with, starting out with. To load your palette knife, pull your paint straight across, get a nice thin rib of it, and then pull across just to load one edge. If I can get my palette back in. You don't want too much paint on your knife to go up here and do these water lines. Okay, I'm going to decide where I want my water lines to be. Now I'm just seesawing back and forth on my canvas. Let it just disappear over here. Try to keep these relatively straight. Going to take a little bit of titanium white, and right where the sun is the brightest, I'm going to accent with white. Then I'm going to take a bunny brush, clean and dry, and stretch these lines out. Just let them disappear. I have to stand back. I think oh my goodness, my line is crooked. To straighten it up real quick. Better. All right. Okay. Before I do the foliage on the tree and the grass, I need to do my boat because the grass is in front. So I'm going to take my palette knife and pull off this clear adhesive that I have on my boat. Since this area of the canvas is dry, I didn't have magic white on it, I'm going to use a little bit of clear. And you don't have to fill in the entire boat. Just smear it around and get it a little bit wet so that our colors will blend. All right. I'm going to start with straight burr umber. I'm using a flat brush again. This is straight burr umber. Chisel edge, and I'm going to start at the front of my boat. Again, if you're uncomfortable using this brush, go to your liner. I want the front area of this boat to be very dark. Remember, the light source is coming from the right. The only area you have to be very, very careful of is right up here. This area down in the grass, you won't have to worry too much about that. We're going to have a lot of things covering it. I'm going to put some dark color in on the front and stretch this color back. Look at the values change very quickly here. As we go back, they'll get automatically lighter. Lighter, lighter, lighter. The very back of the boat is light. I'm just filling that in. And you can blend, blend, blend until you get this where you want it. Now the area down at the bottom of the boat will be a little darker. Down here. Just like so. And this will happen automatically for you with the clear. Clear works the same way Magic White works. And it doesn't dilute your paint. Keeps it nice and clean. Inside the boat, right here, there's a very dark area. You want to try to be sure and cover any of your sketch that happens to be left on there. Working in a tiny little area here, so you need a real chisel edge. And this area in the front is quite dark. Again, use a liner brush if you don't think you can. Am I in the way? If you don't think you can get in there with this larger brush. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush real quick and put a highlight on the rim of the boat and paint the seat, which will be in peach. This peach, I think I told you in case you forgot, is deep orange and white. Much, much more white than orange. Chisel edge again. I'm going to start right up here on the front of the boat. Didn't have quite enough paint. Didn't show. There we go. Come all the way around and put a little highlight around the rim. Around this side. Around the back. And then I want to do the seat. Covered a little bit of my seat with that dark, but that's okay. When you're doing this at home, you'll have a lot more time and you can be a little bit more careful. That'll work just fine. I see one area on my boat where I left a little bit of white. Want to be real careful about that when you're doing it. Cover your sketch. There we go. Now, I'm going to add a touch of the mauve that I had in the sky. Just a touch. Right to the very back of the boat. This is just a little accent now, so don't go crazy with it. We want it to tie in and have continuity in the entire painting, so I added a little mauve. I'm going to go back to burnt umber and a chisel edge and put in a few little boards in this boat. You can put as many or as few boards in here as you want, but do not have them all the same. Have them all in the same place. Have some longer, some smaller. Lost and found lines. And I'm going to go right under this highlight that I put on and put a shadow. Right there. Now the boat looks a little strange. Of course, it doesn't have any grass around it. It doesn't. Oh, and there's one other thing we need to do this boat real quick. It's going to be tied to a root or a rock or whatever is up here. So let's put a little rope to anchor it down. All right. Let's start. I'm going to do the foliage on the tree and then the grass for you. The foliage on the tree is I'm going to start with the burnt umber and sap green that I showed you earlier. I have to wash a brush here real quick. A 1-inch brush. This is a very, very dark value, and we'll have one other light value to go on the trees. Okay, I'm going to load this brush the same as I showed you before when I showed you how to do the little background trees, tapping into my dark, dark green mixture. Now I need to decide where my leaves are, and I know I want some at the top. Look at the nice foliage you get, and all you have to do is just tap. You'll want to bring some down over your trunk. Constantly reloading. A few out here on this little limb, and maybe a few down here on this limb. We're losing all those limbs we built. Now, what you do not want to do is come up here and just hit in little circles. You want to move, constantly keep moving your brush around. A little bit darker value down across that trunk. Let's get some out here on the end. Just tapping. You can also go back. You'll have a lot of time at home to do this, like I did on the little trees, and give a little bit more definition with the fan brush. Bring a few of these limbs down over the background, sets it back, gives it a little continuity. Now, if you find, looking at your painting, that you have rows of little bushes like that, foliage strokes like that, go up there and deliberately mess them up. Tie one of them together, like this one to that one, or whatever. If you see some area that you want darker, you can go back and do it. And I think that's about enough. You can overdo this very, very easily, so take it easy. You wash that brush, switch to another brush, and put a little bit of a highlight. Now, there won't be much of a highlight on the foliage on this tree. I'm going to use the mint green. Tapping my brush the same way. You put highlights on a tree the exact same way you put the foliage on in the first place. I'm going to come out here and on the edges. This may or may not show up on the monitor. The color is very subtle. Choose a few spots where you think a highlight would hit. There's not much. And out here. And that's all you need. Don't overdo it. Okay, let's come down here to the grass. I need a large fan brush. Need to clean it out. I'm just checking, my water line is still crooked in this painting. I just noticed. Which drives me nuts. So I'm going to go back and see if I can straighten it out just a little bit right here. If I get too much, I can add some peach. And cut it down. And since I got a little bit too much of that, I need to go to a small fan brush and put some of my foliage back in. You can always repair something if you don't like it. It's nice if you can do it the first time and have it turn out just exactly right. There. That'll work. Now, when you're doing yours at home, you won't want your water lines quite as wide as I got mine right there. Okay, let's come down and work on some of the grass. I'm going into the dark mixture that I used on the foliage on the big tree. Same stroke that I did in the back. Now, you don't want to cover all of this nice area that we have lit up, but you do want to cover some of it. So you'll start furthest away. This is just a seesaw stroke. And they aren't real thick. Some of the grass and some of the bank will show. Twist and turn your brush so that they go different directions. If you'll hold it and flip it up, You can get them woven. I like to seesaw it just a little bit. We'll have a little bit down here in front. We're going to go back and put some detail into this grass. You want a dark area down here. Flip some of the grass up over the boat. And we'll have it flipping over this way, over here. Remember, you don't want it all the same height. Skip down here a little bit and put in some. Cover some of this area, but not all. Put a little detail in here. Flip some of them over to the left and some of them over to the right. Just hopping around here on my painting. I'm trying to make certain I don't cover all of my dark or all of that beautiful light area that I have in there. I can clean this brush real quick. Go to another fan brush and the mint green, and put a couple that are very light, but they will primarily be in this area. Don't get it back up under your tree. Okay, now I'm going to go to a liner brush and the dark green value, a lot of thinner. And I'm going to put some real detailed little thin grasses in here. Skipping around. If your brush skips as it did right here, you don't have enough thinner. Put a few out here. This is such a light stroke, and I'm making such exaggerated big circles that half the time I don't even hit the canvas. And that's okay. You don't want to hit it every time. But when I do hit it, they're nice, fine little lines. Put a couple right here over the boat. A few over the tree. Some down in front to give it a little bit more detail. Now I'm primarily staying with the dark colors here. I'm not worrying about highlighting with any of these real fine detailed grasses because most of the highlight is already in. It's right in this area. And you just flip around and put it. You could also put some cattails in here if you want. Swamps have a lot of cattails, bayous. I don't know if I told you, I grew up in Louisiana, in Bastrop, Louisiana. My husband and I, we lived about, 2 miles apart our entire lives. He never had a chance. I've known him all his life. And we have a lot of bayous, and they're beautiful. They're not always creepy like people think they are. They can be quite beautiful. Okay, I'm going to come back in just a few minutes and work on my grass as the show is ending, but before I do that, I want to go up here and put the indication of a little, maybe a crane or some type long-legged bird flying in. And maybe I'll try to paint you one right here. I'm not promising he will turn out, but I shall try. Let's go ahead and try him first. Since he's the hardest, I'm going to add a little bit of that yellow mixture. And I better put a little thinner in it so it'll move for me. I'm going to use my liner brush. Let's put him right here. You may want to come up real close, and I'll put him. He's so tiny and so vague, he won't show very well. Put a little beak on him, a little curved like body. A little back. Couple of little legs. He's good, I better leave him alone. If I try, now they're very indistinct, but if I tried to make him any more distinct, I might mess him up. You would want to go back and put his legs down into the water. And let's put one right up here in this real bright area, flying in, which these are so easy. They're just a little dip and a curve. And let's put another teeny tiny one back here. Turn him a different direction. And now I'm going to go back and work on my grass until it's time to go. Now you can put as much detail in your grass as you want to. Take your time, and when you're satisfied with it, it's done. Okay, I'm going to add a few more dark. Just be certain that you don't have them all going the same way. Unless you're painting a painting showing motion, wind, rain, or whatever, these grasses are wild. They are tangled, and if we were painting action in our painting and we wanted to show wind, we could turn them all more one direction. Okay, I'm going to step back and check my painting. I think it looks very nice. The only thing I'm not satisfied with would be my water line right back here, and I can take care of that a little bit later in my painting. Just checking it around to see if there's absolutely anything I might want a little bit more highlight right here. And that was the peach. Right there, and give it a little bit more character, make a little bump. Check on your painting and see what portions of your tree limbs show that you think need a highlight or whatever. And if you see one, put it on. I have really enjoyed doing this painting for you. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's a very good study in tints and shading in the warm and cool values, and I think you'll love doing it. Try it. If you haven't started painting yet, try it. You're going to love it. I've enjoyed doing it for you. I'm going to continue working on my painting as they roll the credits, and I'll see you next time. Oh, next time I hope to paint a buffalo for you, so be sure and watch. Bye-bye.